4 months from now, you'll either be the same person watching another video like this, or you'll be unrecognizable. Here's exactly what separates the two. And no, it's not discipline. It's not some morning routine. It's not the book you haven't read yet. It's a sequence, a specific order of operations that the top 1% follow, most of them without even realizing they're doing it. 4 months, 4 phases. And the reason it works isn't magic, it's math, about 120 days. That's roughly what the research out of University College London found it takes to rewire a behavior pattern into something automatic. Not 21 days. That's a myth from the 1960s that got copy-pasted into every self-help blog on the internet. The real number sits somewhere between 66 and 254 days depending on the behavior. 4 months puts you right in the sweet spot. But here's what's probably going on with you right now. You've watched videos like this before. Maybe 10, maybe 50. You felt that spark, that chest-tightening, okay, this time I'm serious, energy. And then a week passed, maybe 2, and slowly, without any dramatic failure, you just drifted back. Same phone screen at 1 a.m., same half-started projects sitting in folders you don't open anymore. Same Sunday night dread, where you promise yourself Monday will be different. I'm not guessing. I lived in that cycle for almost 3 years. Notebooks full of goals, bookmarks full of advice, and a life that looked exactly the same in December as it did in January. The problem was never information. You already know what to do. You could probably coach someone else on discipline at this point. You've consumed that much content about it. The problem is you've been trying to change your entire life in one burst, like ripping off a Band-Aid. And every time you fail, the story gets thicker. I'm just not that guy. What I'm about to lay out is different. Not because it's some secret the gurus are hiding, but because it's boring. It's sequential. It's 4 months of doing specific things in a specific order. And most people won't do it because they want transformation to feel like a movie montage, not like Tuesday. I'm going to break down exactly what to do in each phase, month by month, so you have 0 excuses left. No gaps, no figure-it-out-yourself nonsense. The whole blueprint. And I'll tell you this right now. If you're still watching 60 seconds from now, you're already operating different from 90% of people who clicked on this video. Most of them already bounced. They're looking for the next thumbnail. You're still here. That matters more than you think. Okay, so before we get into the framework, I need you to understand something that took me embarrassingly long to figure out. And once it clicked, it kind of ruined every piece of advice I'd ever gotten. You don't have a discipline problem, you have an identity problem. Let me explain. Right now, in your head, there's a version of you that's been running the show for years. That version has habits, has patterns, has a self-image. Maybe it's the guy who starts things but doesn't finish them, or the guy who's figuring it out, or the guy who's smart enough to know better but somehow keeps ending up in the same spot. That identity is like an operating system. And every time you try to install a new behavior, wake up earlier, train consistently, work on your side project, you're trying to run new software on old hardware. Your system rejects it. Not because the behavior is hard, because it doesn't match who you believe you are. James Clear called this identity lag in Atomic Habits, and he nailed it. Your actions will always snap back to match your self-image, no matter how many vision boards you make. Now stack that on top of something else nobody talks about. Your environment is designed to keep you the same. Same apartment, same group chat, same route to work, same apps on your home screen, same conversations that go nowhere. You're not failing because of willpower. You're failing because every single thing around you is anchored to the old version. And I know what you've tried, because I tried the same thing. You tried to change everything at once. Diet, gym, reading, side hustle, sleep schedule, screen time, all on a Monday. And it felt amazing for about 11 days. Then life happened. One thing slipped, then another. And within 3 weeks, you were back to baseline, except now with an extra layer of, "See, I told you I can't stick with anything." That approach is broken. And it's broken because it treats transformation like an event instead of a sequence. The 1%, and I mean the people who actually sustain change, not the ones posting about it. They don't do everything at once. They move in phases, one focus at a time. Stack the wins, let momentum build. It's less exciting than the change your whole life overnight pitch, but it actually works. And it works because your brain can only rewire one thing at a time without tripping the emergency brake. So here's the actual framework. 4 months. Each month has a specific job. Skip one, and the whole thing collapses like a Jenga tower with no base. Follow the sequence, and something compounds in a way that'll make the first 2 months of frustration worth every second. And it starts with something most people skip entirely. Because it doesn't feel productive. It feels like the opposite. Before you can build a new life, you need to take apart the old one. Not blow it up. Disassemble it. Piece by piece. Deliberately. Everyone wants to start with the fun stuff. The new gym routine. The morning ritual. The productivity stack. But that's like painting the walls of a house with a cracked foundation. Looks good for a week. Then the cracks show through again. Months 1 and 2 are about subtraction, elimination, creating space where right now there's only noise. Weeks 1 and 2, the audit. You're going to look at your life with the same honesty you'd want from a doctor reading your blood work. Pull up your screen time report. The real one, not the one you remember. When I did this back in 2022, I was averaging 6 hours and 43 minutes of screen time a day. And I would have sworn it was maybe 3. Write down where your time goes for 7 straight days. Not what you plan to do, what you actually did. Track your energy too. When are you sharp? When are you useless? Who do you spend time with that leaves you drained versus charged? Most people skip this because the truth stings. That's exactly why you need it. Weeks 3 and 4, the cut. Now you take the data and you act on it. Unfollow the accounts that make you feel behind without teaching you anything useful. You know the ones, the highlight reels that leave you with that weird, hollow feeling. Reduce time with people who've normalized being stuck. Not a dramatic breakup, just less. Delete the apps that are pure escape, the ones where you open them out of reflex, not intention. And here's the part that feels weird. Don't replace any of it yet. Leave the gaps empty. Your brain is going to hate the silence. That's the point. You're creating a vacuum that you'll fill intentionally later. Month 2, identity death. This sounds dramatic. It is. Real change requires a kind of grief. The old version of you, the one who stayed up until 2 a.m. watching random clips, the one who said, "I'll start next week every Sunday," that version had benefits. Comfort. Low expectations. Social acceptance from people who are also stuck. Walking away from that means walking away from a version of yourself that, honestly, you're attached to. And this is exactly where I've seen probably 9 out of 10 guys quit. Not because things got hard, because things got unfamiliar. The shift is in the small stuff. Stop introducing yourself as someone who wants to start something and start acting like someone who already decided. The language changes. "I'm going to try" becomes "I'm doing." Hopefully gets cut from your vocabulary. Your posture changes. Not because you read a body language book, but because something inside recalibrated. By the end of month 2, you should feel uncomfortable, restless, like your old life doesn't fit right anymore, like wearing a jacket you outgrew. That discomfort isn't a sign you're failing. It's the only real sign you're actually changing. All right, so you've torn out the old wiring. You've got empty space. Now what do you put there? Because empty space without a system just becomes a different kind of chaos. Month 3 is where people expect me to say, "Now you grind." Nah, now you engineer. You've created the space. The noise is lower. The dead weight is gone. Now you fill it, but not with enthusiasm. Not with some vision board energy that lasts 9 days. With systems. Because motivation is a guest that shows up unannounced and leaves without saying goodbye. Systems are the furniture that stays. This is the core of the 1% mindset. And let me be clear about what that means. It's not about being the top 1% of earners or having some genetic advantage. It's a way of thinking. Goals say, I want X. Systems say, I do Y every day. And X is the inevitable side effect. One depends on outcomes. The other depends on showing up. Guess which one actually works over 4 months? You need 3 systems running. Simultaneously. Non-negotiable. System 1. Physical. You train 4 to 5 times a week. Weights, running, calisthenics. Pick something and stop researching the optimal program. The optimal program is the one you actually do. And the reason this is system number 1 isn't aesthetics. It's because your body is the hardware everything else runs on. When the hardware is sluggish, everything, your focus, your mood, your decision-making, runs at 40%. I spent 2 months optimizing my productivity system while eating gas station food for lunch and sleeping 5 hours. Shocking that nothing worked. System 2. Focus. 2 to 4 hours a day of deep work. On the thing that moves the needle. Your business, your skill development, your degree, whatever is going to change your financial or professional trajectory over the next year. Block it on your calendar. Phone goes somewhere you can't see it. Not just silent, physically gone from your line of sight. No email, no quick checks. This block is sacred. And if you're thinking, I can't find 2 hours, audit your screen time from month 1 again. You have the time. You've just been spending it on things that don't compound. System 3. Input. What goes into your brain in the first 2 hours after you wake up determines the quality of your thinking for the rest of the day. No junk content before 10 a.m. No doom scrolling, no random debates in comment sections, no news cycles designed to spike your cortisol. Instead, 30 minutes of reading. A book. Something that challenges how you think, not just gives you new talking points. Steal a concept from Ray Dalio's Principles or from Morgan Housel's Psychology of Money and apply it that same day. That's the difference between consuming and learning. Now, here's the thing about systems. You don't need to execute perfectly. You need what I call minimum viable discipline. 80% execution across all 3 systems is exponentially more powerful than 100% execution on one system for 2 weeks before you flame out. Consistency at B+ beats perfection at A+ every single time. If this framework is clicking for you right now, hit like. Seriously. It tells me this kind of content matters and I should keep making it. But here's what nobody warns you about month 3. Building the system is actually the straightforward part. Month 4 is where most people quietly sabotage everything they built. And the reason isn't what you'd expect. Month 4 is where the compound effect finally shows its face. Your body looks different when you catch yourself in the bathroom mirror. Not a transformation, but enough that you stop and actually look for a second. Your mind is quicker. You're sharper in conversations. Maybe your bank account moved a little. People are starting to say things. You seem different. What have you been doing? Feels great, right? Yeah. And that's exactly when everything gets dangerous. I call this the pullback effect. And it hit me so hard the first time I went through this that I almost lost 3 months of progress in a single week. Here's what happens. The people around you, friends, family, co-workers, they start to notice the gap. And unconsciously, sometimes without even meaning to, they try to close it. Not because they're bad people, because your change is a mirror. When you transform and they haven't, it forces them to look at their own stagnation. And that's uncomfortable. So they pull. Bro, you've changed. Why are you being so serious? Come on, one night out won't kill you. Don't forget where you came from. Recognize those? Every single one of those sentences is a gravity well. And the worst part, they come from people you care about. So they land harder than any setback. But the external pull isn't even the most dangerous part. The real war is internal. Somewhere around week 13, 14, your own brain starts negotiating. And it sounds so reasonable you almost don't catch it. You've been going hard, maybe ease up for a bit. You've already come further than most people. That's enough. Do you really want to be that guy who never relaxes? That voice isn't laziness. It's your nervous system begging for homeostasis. Your brain is wired to return to baseline. It's a survival mechanism. Change, even positive change, registers as a threat. Dr. Robert Keegan at Harvard spent decades studying this. He called them immunity to change systems. Your brain literally builds antibodies against your own growth. Sounds insane, but if you've ever been on a great streak and then torpedoed it for no apparent reason, now you know why. So month 4 isn't about adding new habits. It's about one decision made over and over in 100 small moments. Am I going to protect this new version of myself, or am I going to let comfort drag me back? That decision shows up everywhere. It's in the 11 p.m. scroll you almost start. It's in the workout you consider skipping because one day won't matter. It's in the old friend who invites you back into exactly the pattern you spent 3 months escaping. And here's what makes month 4 worth every hard morning from months 1 through 3. This is where results start to multiply in a way that feels almost unfair. The first weeks felt pointless, like you were pushing a boulder uphill and it kept rolling back. But compound growth doesn't work in straight lines. It curves, slowly at first, then all at once. Think about how compound interest works in investing. Warren Buffett made 99% of his wealth after age 50. Same principle. The early months are invisible. Month 4 is where the curve bends. Every day you protect the new version is a day the old one loses ground. And one morning, I can't tell you which one, you'll realize the fight is over. Not because it got easy, because you stopped being the kind of person who quits. And that's not something you can buy, download, or binge-watch your way into. The 1% mindset isn't about being special. It's about refusing to go back to sleep after you've finally woken up. Let me run it back real quick. Months 1 and 2. You kill the old identity. Audit your life, cut what's draining you. Sit in the discomfort of becoming someone you haven't been yet. This is the phase everyone skips because it doesn't feel like progress. It is. It's the most important progress you'll make. Month 3. You build the machine. 3 systems: physical, focus, input. You run them daily with minimum viable discipline. Not perfectly. Consistently. Your day stops being a reaction to whatever happens and starts being something you designed on purpose. Month 4. You protect the new you against the pullback effect, against your own brain's resistance, against the gravity of your old life. And you let the compound effect do what it does, quietly at first, then undeniably. That's the framework. No hidden steps. No $500 course at the end of this. Just a sequence that works if you respect the order. Now, here's what I need you to do. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Right now, before you tap on the next video. Before your brain has a chance to file this away with all the other stuff you planned to start but didn't. Open your Notes app. Write down the 3 things you need to eliminate this week. Not next month. This week. The app that eats your time. The habit that keeps you up too late. The commitment that drains you and gives nothing back. That's your audit. That's day 1. You might be thinking, I've heard something like this before. Yeah, you probably have, and that's the whole point. The difference between you and someone who actually changed their life isn't the information. It's that they did something with it the same day they heard it. Not better genetics, not more willpower, just a shorter gap between knowing and doing. So the only question left is, and it's the only one that matters, will you actually do it this time? The 1% mindset isn't about being special. It's about refusing to go back to sleep after you've finally woken up. If this hit different, drop a comment with what you're cutting this week. That's your line in the sand. Subscribe if you want the next part of this framework. I'm going deeper on each phase in upcoming videos. And send this to someone who's stuck in the loop. You know exactly who I'm talking about.